Imagine for a moment that your car breaks down, but you're in 1890. There are no workshops, no spare parts, and the closest thing to a mechanic is the village blacksmith. How did the first drivers survive? Producers to this mechanical adventure. The story you're about to hear will surprise you. The early years of the automobile were a time of pioneers and adventurers. Every trip was a feat, and every repair was an exercise in ingenuity and creativity. But how did they really manage? It all started in the blacksmith shops. These metal craftsmen, used to working with carriages and farming tools, were the first to face the challenge of repairing these new horseless carriages. Their hammers, anvils, and forges, ancient tools, now turned into a revolutionary invention. Have you ever wondered why the first cars looked so much like carriages? The answer is simple, because they used the same techniques and materials to repair them. The first mechanics were actually blacksmiths who learned on the job. When a part broke, they couldn't just order a replacement, they had to make it themselves. In 1908, a woman named Alice Ramsey made history by being the first to drive coast to coast in the United States. During her 59-day journey, she had to change 11 tires. Broken with wire and clean the spark plugs almost daily. Your closest mechanic. It was often the nearest village blacksmith. The basic tools of the time were surprisingly simple. A set of wrenches, hammers, chisels, and most importantly, ingenuity. The engines, much simpler than today's, had one advantage. You could see and touch every component. There were no computers, no electronic diagnostics, it was all pure mechanics. Did you know that early repair manuals were so basic that they included instructions like tap gently? Until it works, many drivers carried repair kits that included rope and wire because they never knew they might need to improvise. But this was just the beginning. The arrival of Ford's Model T would not only revolutionize how cars were made, but it would also forever change how they were repaired. Now let's move on to the era of mass production, from 1920 to 1950. Have you ever wondered why mechanics have so many specific tools? It all started with a black car, very black, so black that Henry Ford used to say you could have it in any color, as long as it was black. The Model T not only revolutionized how cars were made, but it also created a whole new generation of mechanics. The arrival of the Model T marked the end of an artisanal era and the beginning of something completely new. For the first time in history, cars were not lifelike toys, but accessible tools for the average citizen. But with this democratization of the automobile, a new challenge arose. Who would repair all these vehicles? Ford didn't just revolutionize production, he also transformed repair. For the first time, there were standardized parts. There was no longer a need to make every part from scratch. This gave birth to something we take for granted today, the spare parts catalog. Imagine the mechanics' excitement when they knew they could order an exact part. Exactly like the original. In 1926, in a small Kansas garage, a mechanic named Charles Williams received his first official Ford manual. His hands, used to improvising solutions, trembled as he flipped through those pages that contained something revolutionary. Step-by-step instructions with detailed diagrams. It was the birth of modern repair. The workshops began to transform. They were no longer simple adapted blacksmith shops. Adapted, but spaces specifically designed for car repair. Families of mechanics began to emerge, passing down knowledge from father to son. Each family had its secrets, special techniques, and tricks of the trade. Standardization brought with it specialized tools. Socket wrenches with specific sizes replaced adjustable ones. The first mechanical lifts appeared, saying goodbye to inspection pits. Each year brought new innovations, precision calipers, compression gauges, and the revolutionary Timmy. And a minute light to adjust the ignition. These family-run shops became the heart of many communities. The local mechanic didn't just fix cars, he was a counselor, a confidant, and often the unofficial bank of the town. Many accepted payments in goods or labor, when money was tight during the Great Depression. But while these mechanics were perfecting their craft, something was changing in Detroit. Engines were becoming more powerful, more complex. The era of the American muscle was about to begin, and with it, a revolution in the world of mechanics. Now let's jump to the mechanical revolution, from 1950 to 1980. The 50s and 60s brought more than just rock and roll. Engines grew in size and power, and with them, the complexity of repairs. A 57 Chevrolet was no longer the simple model that anyone could fix with a hammer and good intentions. Mechanics was becoming a science. In 1964, when the first Mustang hit the shops, many veteran mechanics scratched their heads. Chicago mechanic Joe Martinez recalls, it was as if someone had taken a normal engine and given it steroids. We had to relearn everything. Everything we thought we knew about tuning in carburetors. This was the golden age of sensory diagnosis. The best mechanics could identify problems just by the sound. A knocking in the engine told a story. The color of the exhaust smoke revealed secrets, and the smell of the exhaust gases was like an open book for those who knew how to read it. The shops transformed. Oscilloscopes arrived to analyze the electrical system, the first exhaust gas analyzers, and specialized tools for each brand and model. The neighborhood mechanic could no longer survive with just a basic toolbox. For the first time, specialists emerged. Experts in automatic transmissions, wizards of carburation, gurus of suspension. The era of the mechanic who did it all was coming to an end. As an old shop saying goes, he who grasps too much holds little. But while mechanics perfected the art of manually tuning carburetors and adjusting valves, a quiet revolution. It was brewing in Japan and Europe. The era of electronics was about to begin, and with it would come the biggest challenge the profession had ever faced. One day in 1981, in a shop in Detroit, a veteran mechanic stood there staring, perplexed at the engine of a new Honda Accord. There was no carburetor. Instead, there was a mysterious black box. It controlled the flow of fuel. It was the beginning of a revolution that would forever change the world of auto repair. Welcome to the era where wrenches started sharing space with computers. The 1980s marked the beginning of a new era. Japanese and European manufacturers began to introduce electronic fuel injection systems. It was no longer enough to have a good ear and skilled hands. Now, mechanics needed to understand voltages, sensors, and components. Computers. Mike Thompson, a shop owner in California, remembers the day he bought his first diagnostic computer in 1985. It cost more than all my other equipment combined. Some colleagues scoffed, saying it was a waste of money. 6 months later, those same mechanics were paying me to use my scanner. The terms changed. It was no longer just about compression and timing. Now you had to understand about PCM, powertrain control module, map sensors, and trouble codes. The multimeter became as essential a tool as the wrench. OBD1 scanners came as a revolution. For the first time, the car could tell you what was wrong. But each manufacturer had its own system, its own codes, its own connectors. A shop needed multiple diagnostic tools, each with its own manual and training. This was a time of generational divide. Many veteran mechanics resisted the change. Some even closed their shops. Others adapted their traditional skills to the new era, creating a unique blend of mechanical experience and electronic knowledge. "I don't trust those machines." It was a common phrase in the shops, but the reality was undeniable. The cars were turning more and more complex. Those who adapted thrived. Those who resisted were left behind. As one instructor of the time said, "A modern mechanic's best tool is his brain." But if the mechanics of the 80s thought the electronic revolution was a challenge, they had no idea what was coming with the new millennium. The digital age was about to begin, and with it, an even more radical transformation would come. Imagine a shop where cars diagnose themselves, where a mechanic in Tokyo can help fix a vehicle in Buenos Aires, and where a tablet has more power than you do. All the diagnostic equipment from the 90s together. It's not science fiction, it's the auto shop of the 21st century. Welcome to the era where cars not only drive themselves, but they also tell you exactly what's hurting them. The year 2000 marked a turning point. The standardization of OBD2 meant that, for the first time, all manufacturers spoke the same language. One single scanner could read any brand. But with this simplicity came a new complexity. Cars began to have dozens of interconnected computers. Modern vehicles are computers on wheels. They can send alerts to the manufacturer before they fail, schedule their own maintenance, and some can even receive software updates while they sleep in your garage. The modern mechanic often starts their diagnosis before the car even arrives at the shop. The arrival of hybrid and electric vehicles brought new challenges. Mechanics had to learn about the vehicles, about high-voltage systems, lithium-ion batteries, and electric motors. Security took on a new meaning. A mistake could not only damage the car, it could be deadly. Modern shops look like tech centers with wireless scanners, digital oscilloscopes, and augmented reality tools that overlay diagrams onto the actual engine. Technical knowledge is no longer enough. Digital literacy is a must. Despite all the technology, the human element is still crucial. Maria Rodriguez says computers simplify tasks easily. They can tell you where the problem is, but it takes experience and judgment to understand why it happened and how to prevent it from happening again. AI systems are beginning to revolutionize diagnostics. They can analyze millions of similar cases in seconds, suggesting solutions based on global experiences. But, as they say in modern shops, AI is just another tool, not a replacement for the technician. Have you ever wondered what it will be like to repair a car in 2040? Imagine a shop where robots handle the heavy repairs, where parts are 3D printed while you wait, and where your car communicates directly with the technicians, even before it breaks down. It's not science fiction. It's the future that's already arriving at the most advanced shops in the world. The first revolution will come with fully autonomous vehicles. These cars will not only drive themselves, but they'll also be able to self-diagnose and head to the shop on their own. But their complexity will require a new type of technician, the autonomous systems engineer. Spare part stores, as we know them, could disappear. 3D printing of parts on demand is already a reality in some elite workshops. Imagine needing a discontinued part for a classic car. Instead of searching for it for months, you'll just print it out. The workshops of the future will be completely connected. Augmented reality, interactive holograms, and real-time remote assistance will become the standard. A technician in Tokyo can guide a complex repair in Sao Paulo, as if they were right there. From blacksmiths who adapted their skills to repair early cars, to the technicians of the future, who will work with augmented reality and robots, the essence of the profession remains the same. The same, solving problems and keeping the world moving. Technology changes, but the passion for fixing things stays.